The longer you wait to get this treatment, the higher the probability is that you die. Shaina and Christos fought for years to bring a baby into this world. And just when Shaina finally got her miracle, the doctors told her she might not live to see it.
I was alone, and she was like, Shaina, I'm so sorry, like, you have cancer. You have cervical cancer.
For Shaina, those words weren't just a diagnosis. They were a choice.
She basically told me what my options were. The problem is that it would cause miscarriage.
Do you fight for your own life, knowing that treatment could mean letting go of the baby you've prayed for? Or do you hold on to hope, knowing it could cost you your own life?
And so I just kind of took a leap of faith. That's all I could say.
And for Christos, all he could do was support her.
I have to refrain from always crying every time we talk about this, just because I think I cried every day. Like, I was devastated.
This is what love looks like when it's tested, when there are no easy answers, no right choices, only two people holding on to each other, trying to find a way forward.
To give you more of a roller coaster.
I called Christos and I'm like, I think I'm having a stroke. And I couldn't talk, and it started going black.
This is their story.
We are so excited to have Shaina and Christos. How do you pronounce your last name?
Lardakis.
Lardakis.
My family still can't say it right.
I have like Pratizadi is my maiden name, and it's like very long. So I'm never like embarrassed to ask people how to pronounce their names because it's like you'd rather like ask than like say it wrong, right?
You said it really good. You even said it with a Chicago accent a little bit.
I'm pretty good at accents, actually. All right. Well, you guys probably know Shaina and Christos from Love is Blind because Christos made an appearance on After the Altar. We are so excited to chat with you guys today about your beautiful love story, the beautiful story of your son's birth, and the strength of you, Shaina, and just as a mom. And please feel comfortable. This is just like a no pressure, open discussion, and only share, of course, what you feel comfortable sharing.
I'm an open book.
Why don't we start with how you two fell in love?
It's a wild story.
Wild story.
We love a wild story.
Okay, a little unorthodox.
No judgment. You know our story.
We originally met in August 2020.
20, yes.
So this was during COVID.
Right. Okay.
Kind of, right? Oh, no, right
COVID.
before COVID.
Right before COVID.
So this is shortly after your season aired.
No, the casting process
Oh,
was during this, but they had to hold it off because of COVID.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it got delayed.
It got delayed, so we had to wait a year.
Oh my god.
But it's really interesting how it worked out.
It is. I think everything's timing. I'm older than Shaina by about almost 8 years or so. And at the time of my life, I was 37 years old, right? Roughly when I met Shaina. Again, just dating, obviously, like, different relationships. He was a little
player back in the day, I hear.
I always wanted to be married at a young age, but that didn't happen, obviously, right? I'm on a job site, and my project manager, he happened to be on FaceTime with her while we're looking at a project. And I'm like,
he was my ex-boyfriend's cousin, and we stayed friends.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
That's so funny.
So from afar, I hear her voice, and I literally just walk on over. I'm like, who are you talking to? Like, we're on a job site, and I peek, and I see this blonde-haired girl in the backdrop, and I just pop my head in. And then
I was like, "Who is that?" Like.
And then I go on with my
And that was
day.
it. Like,
I think it was like a few days later, a week later, I go to my project. Hey, call the FaceTime that girl again. Like, I kept heckling him to call her, and he was giving me some crap. Like, oh no, don't worry about it. I go, no, call her. And that's what happened. It was like a few days later, he FaceTimes her again, and I take his phone from him, and we start talking. And
but where I was at in my life was I was like for real, like I was engaged like for real, and we had called off the wedding 30 days before the wedding. And so it kind of like completely disrupted my life where like I moved back home. I had to start a new career. And I was like, okay, God, I'm not going to date for a year. I'm going to heal, just get back on track, And so I remember I was living back home with my parents, and I was like talking to my mom, and I'm like, just where is my husband? Like, where is he? And then Ralph was calling me, his project manager. And I'm like, I have no makeup on. I'm like, whatever. So I answer, and it's him.
Yeah. And then we just started talking, and something that touched me, it was like she asked me a question, and it was like,
It was the first question I asked
The first
him.
question. I never had a girl ask me this directly. She goes, "Do you love Jesus?"
Aww.
And I said to her, "That's my Lord and Savior." And I swear to you, that moment right there, I knew, wow, like I never had, because I always seek for a woman that loved God first, right? And if you love God first, you'll make anything work, and it builds a strong dynamic of a family, you know? And once I had that, I was like, wow. And then from then, we just started talking to each other. My father passed away a couple of years ago. He was very godly, very religious. I'm Greek Orthodox, but my father would always call me and read the Bible to me or preach to me all the time. And I would always answer because my dad would call me, I'd answer, and I just listened to him on the phone preaching to me, and it was great. We hang up. Well, right when I met Shaina, right before I met Shaina, I got a little sad because my father was diagnosed with dementia, and he stopped calling me, stopped preaching to me. And this is how I knew something like this was God sent, because as soon as I met Shaina reads the Bible. She knows the Bible inside
Not
out.
that I'm perfect or I'm like, you know.
No, but she reads the Bible, and she started out of nowhere just starts preaching to me, like giving me Bible verses.
So during that time, I was like still going on dates, you know what I'm saying? But that's when the Love is Blind casting, they reached out to me, and I was like, this could be a good experience. Like, what if they have a good man on there? And so I went on wishing for the best.
I'll be honest with you. If they paired her with a God-fearing and loving man, she would have been gone.
That was the deal breaker for you, right? Like, you know, with your engagement was you guys were not on the same page. He was an atheist, and you kind of had a lot of apprehension before the engagement, and it seems like you kind of went along with it.
Nope, you said it perfectly, and I don't know why. And that's the one thing I'm mad at myself. You guys will get it because you know, like, in such a time warp. And like, Kyle was actually so much fun in the pods. We had a lot of fun together. And I didn't find out that he was an atheist until like the day before the engagement.
Oh my gosh.
Like, I did have feelings. I shouldn't have said yes though, and like that was me being a people pleaser. I don't know what it was. I went along with it, and I wish I wouldn't have, but it was one of my breaking points.
So Shayna, your first engagement, what happened with that engagement, and how did it affect you in your journey finding love?
What's really interesting is that he was a Christian, but it was the opposite of what I was wanting. It was more of like the controlling Christian, where I wasn't Christian enough. It really took a toll on me, and I was trying on wedding dresses, and like my mom was like, you can't marry this man. So I ended up losing myself. So I was on the opposite with that, with like too extreme of a Christian. Not even Christian, because like there's all types of bad people no matter what religion you are. But he was just very controlling, and so I was losing myself. And then so finally, 40 days before the wedding, we had called it off. Some crazy stuff went down in the church where I have church hurt to this day. It completely almost destroyed my life. And thank God that I really do believe God intervened and saved me. And so I took that year off, and it only made me more aware of personalities like that. It made me even that much more guarded. So when I was going into the experiment, like, I was envious that people could just open up that fast to people. I was so guarded. We're like, I don't know if that got in the way of letting me get a true connection, honestly. And so it just made me more guarded, more aware, a little bit wiser when it came to men. If that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
And just because someone says they're a Christian doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't mean that they're a good person.
I just wanted to have that in common with my husband.
That makes sense. Totally.
Yeah.
I think it's quite brave to end an engagement. It's especially that close to getting married. So good for you for following what was right for you. There's that like common meme, or I don't know if it's a meme or whatever it is, where Jesus is holding like a little bear. Yeah. And then there's like the bigger. Yeah. Yeah.
It's so true.
Yeah. That's how I feel.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's how he feels too.
Aw.
Where's my teddy bear?
Let's fast forward a little bit past the experiment, and you guys get engaged, you get married. You guys got married in Greece, right?
Proposed to her, I think it was in March, and then we got married that July.
How did you pop the question?
So our first date was at Soho originally, so I ended up going back to Soho because it's private there. One of my friends, he's like a local guy who's a mortgage broker, but he has like a small TV show where it's about like real estate and construction. He was gonna get me on one of his shows. shows, and he's like, why don't we act like I'm interviewing you for a show, and I can have my camera guy there. And I told her, would you come and support?
I had no idea.
Would you come and support me? It's a pilot. They want
Oh.
He asked me to be on the show. He's asking me questions about construction.
No, but no, and how we met, and I was
and how we met and all this stuff.
I was like blonde. I'm like, I had no idea.
And then the song comes on, and then I instantly, I think I start crying. I get emotional, right?
He's a crier.
No, but we're also right by the fireplace. So I think I'm hot, like I'm burning up. Oh my god, I just got so nervous. I've never done that before, right? Get on a knee and ask anyone.
It was my third time.
Third time's a charm. You're an old pro at it.
I wish I had done it sooner, but you can never go back, right?
No, yeah, timing is everything.
Timing is everything, but. Gosh, if I could, I would. But...
I had to make him work for it, you know?
Yeah, you got to. When you posted about your wedding, it looked so gorgeous and beautiful.
I got so lucky. I just had to show up. He did everything.
Oh, that's amazing.
I was the wedding planner.
I love that. What a guy.
And I was like, they all speak English, honey. Like,
okay. There is a
no.
language barrier. And I'm like...
There's no language barrier. They have accents.
It was so hard because the show had just come out, right? And like we had this whirlwind engagement, fast engagement. I didn't have the preparedness for it.
I know. It went pretty fast, but everything was beautiful though.
Was it anything like my big fat Greek wedding?
Yes. Guys, it is so funny when I rewatch the movies. I'm like dying that I end up marrying a Greek man because it's so true. It's so true.
No, because when we're in Greece, you're eating like salads, like Greek salads, lots of meat. The whole time she's like, "Can we have sushi?" I go,
"No." This is when I was pregnant. I was so sick of Greek food because we're there for like 3 weeks when we go a while, and I was pregnant. And I'm like, oh my god, I know I shouldn't. Like, well, my doctor said it was fine.
But if you are, you should eat a lot of lamb. Lamb's good for you.
I did not like meat when I was pregnant.
You know what? My doctor told me that if I had asked her, she would have been like, yeah, you can eat sushi. You just can't have, like, I was just like, this whole time. So where I went to go have her, we ate a whole bunch of sushi because I was like, I can't believe I was missing out on this for no reason.
I was craving sushi. That's all I was. But meat, the Greek food, I was just like, I can't have anymore.
You had like an aversion to it.
Well, if you ever come over here to Seattle, we have some of the best sushi.
Oh, yes.
It is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You guys don't understand. I'm a Twilight fan.
Oh.
I read all the books, 4 books in 2 weeks, okay? I was up till like 6 a.m. like reading, okay? I know it sounds so dorky. I was in love with the Twilight series.
Well, you should come and we can go to Forks.
We've never gone to Forks.
I've been to Forks.
We've never gone to Forks.
You and I together have never. Yes. But we'll go to Forks and then you guys will have sushi at this place. It's like over 100 years old. It's one of the oldest sushi places here in Seattle, and it's really small. And
Are we talking about Shiro's?
Yeah, Shiro's.
I didn't know it was over 100 years old.
Yeah.
I would love to. I want to go to the West Coast.
Yes, please do
You're
come.
taking me.
Yeah, we will. We're so scared though lately because all these planes are crashing.
Oh my gosh, you guys! What is happening?
We're a little.
What is happening?
Timid
Okay.
of flying anywhere.
Side tangent. So there was just another plane that flipped. There was one that happened over in SeaTac. Then you go over to Jersey and DC. Like, I mean,
Arizona.
this is
Yeah.
this is unheard of. I mean,
we have a wedding coming in April. We don't know if we want to go.
It's scary. So your beautiful wedding in Greece, and then you guys start your life together.
We did. And then I think we got pregnant that fall, right? Early fall. We got pregnant.
You got married in, you said July?
In July.
In July.
It was
October
we got pregnant. And we were so excited to let our family know, like during the holidays.
And a
she had a miscarriage. And I think that miscarriage, it brought us, again, back down. Imagine being down, then we went back up, right? Going through all this stuff. You know, with the grace of God, though, we got pregnant again that June. But then again, you know, you get pregnant again. And then while we're in Greece enjoying, we get a call that she has cancer.
Well, I got a call from the office, the gynecologist's office. And she's like, your pap smear came back abnormal. And she's like, we're going to have to get you in right away. And that's when I knew it wasn't good. It was kind of in the back of my mind. It was a heaviness, but I kind of just put it on a shelf. And they couldn't get me in. So we flew home like 5 days later, and they couldn't get me in for like a month and a half.
Ugh.
Yeah. And so I was just waiting for the appointment. And as soon as I get to the appointment, like my doctor's face was like, this is not looking good.
Yeah, because when you're past 3 months, they do a pap smear. They didn't do it the first time because she wasn't far long enough before the miscarriage to do a pap smear. You know, she probably had cancer before.
They just didn't catch it because they weren't able to do that.
Yeah, they didn't check it. So what if they did find it then? And who knows the route we would have gone? We would never have had our beautiful boy.
I'd like to hear from Shayna how this affected you. Did you always want to have kids? When did you decide that you wanted to have a child?
From an early age, I always wanted to be a mom. I always had my hairstyling career, but I wanted to be married young, have kids young. And God, I didn't think I was going to be 34 having a baby, which is, it's young nowadays, but like, you know, I thought I was going to be
still, yeah.
So I always wanted to be a mom. That I knew that was my calling in life. I was so happy. And then I'm like, again, when we found out the news, it was just, I asked like, which Christians we don't want to ask. And I was like, God, like why? It was rough.
Miscarriage is something that I'm so terrified of ever happening. I just wonder, like, how did you have the strength to keep trying?
So when I had a miscarriage, people say dumb stuff all the time, and I don't think you get it until you go through it. But in my opinion, there's something growing inside of you. It's life to me, and it was devastating. And so I was a little discouraged, but I just put my trust in God that He's going to give me another healthy baby. I remember wanting to give my body a few months to heal before we started trying again. And I had people like, are you sure you're okay? Maybe you should get checked out. And I'm like, I'm fine. It only causes you more stress not to get pregnant again. And so it was funny though, like the first time we actually like tried again, I got pregnant right away.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why I think that's
and I knew it was a good sign that if I at least I could get pregnant, you know?
Right. Yeah. So you're like so excited. You have this other beautiful life on the way. And then it's just like a routine check that they do, the pap smear at a certain
When you're
point.
pregnant.
Yeah.
And so I didn't think anything of it. I never
Right.
had anything ever, like I'm very healthy. Like that's why they were still in shock even afterwards. I had no symptoms. None.
Wow.
Yeah, none.
You didn't have any suspicion that there was
No.
potentially
It's
cancer?
just part of the procedure when you're pregnant.
Yeah, it's a routine. Like they just want to check everything out, make sure you don't
That's
have
why it's
anything
so
going on.
important these days. Women, even men, right? But women should get checked. You know, if it's for their breasts or their cervix, they have to check those things because you see it more and more these days, right? It could be.
Well, it's scary. Like we were talking
foods we
last
eat
time, like the cancer rises.
Yeah, the microplastics and yeah.
It's really sad, actually.
You guys were in Greece when you got the news. You had to wait a whole month and a half. I had a scenario where I had a lump and I had to wait a whole month to get it checked. And I was around Christmas, my baby's first Christmas, and it was horrifying. Thank God I'm okay, but just that it's scary. And when you have a baby on the way or you already have a baby, like it just means something so different in your own life, you know?
Things become really clear what's really important.
Yes. Here you have your beautiful baby on the way, and it's your cervix of all things, the thing that's keeping him inside of you and growing healthily. Your doctor gives you more feedback after you do more tests, and they send you a plan. Like, what did they say?
So what had happened was she called me the next day and I was alone and she was like, Shayna, I'm so sorry. Like you have cancer. You have cervical cancer. And I just started laughing. Don't ask me why, because I was like embarrassed. I was so embarrassed that I got I know it sounds bizarre. So they had to move me to high risk. And then I had to get a different gynecologist, move doctors. And then I had to have my oncologist. They got me in the next week to see my doctor, the oncologist. And I went in there and she was so sweet, so understanding. And she was just like, I'm so sorry you're going through this. And she basically told me what my options were. So the routine of when you find out that you have cervical cancer is you usually get like a cold knife cone. They cut it out or they do chemotherapy. And so the problem with the cold knife cone is that it would cause miscarriage. And so I said no. I just had this supernatural peace that I knew it was going to be fine. I had no symptoms. They didn't know what stage it was. My next option was because they just didn't want to do anything because they didn't know how fast it was spreading. Right. And we had heard some horror stories of people he knows that a woman my age had just died of cervical cancer. It spread within like 9 months and it killed her. So you have that in the back of your mind, right? Yeah. And so I got some second opinions and this one guy that I was going to go to, but my insurance wasn't covered by him. He actually specializes with pregnant women getting cancer.
Oh, wow.
And so he gave me free advice and he's like, I think you're fine. I think you should do this other surgery, which is the laparoscopic surgery. I did not want to do it at all because it's very invasive. It's where they give you incisions in your stomach and they go in with a telescope or a microscope and they just to make sure it's not spreading to your lymph nodes. And so I had to be put under, which there's high risk with anesthesia as well. Christos actually, he was very fearful during the whole thing, putting down the pressure on me. He was like, I want this baby, but I don't want to lose my wife. Like, I want you to be here to raise him. We had some pretty intense fights about that one because I just didn't think I needed to do it. I felt fine.
Yeah, she didn't want to do anything. I remember her telling me, she's like, if God wants to take me, he'll take me.
Well, it was where I'm at. I'm like, you know what? God knows what's going to happen. I'm like, I don't think I need the surgery. Like, I feel fine. They don't know enough about it, but I submitted and I ended up doing the surgery.
Yeah, it was
which I was right. It didn't spread, but it gave the doctors a piece of mind.
Gave us peace of mind, right? Mm-hmm. Because when she was 5 months pregnant, if it got into her lymph nodes, then it's like almost terminal.
Fatal.
It's fatal, right? So it would better to know how much time we have, right? Mm-hmm. And if we had less time, I didn't want her to go through the pain while pregnant and then going to.
It was the most painful surgery.
13 lymph nodes taken out of your
stomach. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I thought it was going to be like maybe 3-4 lymph nodes. They took out 13 lymph nodes out of her.
Well, at this point, what month are you in your pregnancy?
You have to do it before 22 weeks. So I was about 20 weeks. What is that?
That's like 4.
Yeah, right? So I was 4.
4.5, 4.
Yeah. So were you still having like morning sickness and some of those symptoms?
No, so I didn't get morning sickness.
You deserve to not have that.
Bless you guys, I had the easiest pregnancy. Besides
you deserve that.
Going on, I did nothing. I had nothing.
It's awful. I was sick till I was 17 weeks, like puking. I puked on the day at the morning of our announcement when we went to go take the pictures. I like threw up in our bed. Like I couldn't even make it to the. I was sick around the clock.
They say that's a sign of a girl.
Yeah, because there's higher pregnancy hormones with girls. Yeah. So hopefully I have a boy next time, and Zach wants to have all girls.
Girls are precious, though. His daughter is amazing, and I told him, I go, it's the women that doesn't leave you. They don't leave you. They always take care of you.
That's what Zach says.
Then the boys, my brothers, they just go off and do their own thing.
Yeah, I feel very, very blessed to have a daughter.
It's a blessing.
Okay.
Anyway, sorry. So this was week 22 that you had to get this procedure done.
By 22, I think I was either 20 or 21 weeks at this point. So it was like right at the deadline. What had happened as well was I was getting checked with MRIs because they
every
wanted to
30
make sure,
days,
which it's not the best indicator. They can't really see a lot of the cancer, but it will tell them like
if it's growing, if it's going here, going there, if they see some abnormalities like elsewhere.
So they had found a bigger mass up higher in the canal.
Oh
that's why they were also even more freaked out. So that's when they called me in and they were like, we really think that you should do chemotherapy. And I just was like devastated. Again, it was a supernatural God piece where everything was going to be fine. And so I turned down chemo, which they weren't happy about, but it was my decision at the end of the day. And miraculously, my next MRI, that mass was now gone.
Oh. Chills. Like I have chills.
They were mind blown about how I just had no symptoms, and so after that surgery I healed, and then I turned down chemotherapy, and then the next question was like they were wanting to give me a hysterectomy upon delivery, a radical hysterectomy.
Also deliver a lot sooner, like 6 months. Like
no,
yes, they wanted
they wanted me to
will grow up in the NICU for a few months. Like they wanted to do that.
Yeah, they wanted me to deliver. At first, the oncologist was like 30 weeks. And then my gynecologist, high risk, was like, that's too early. Think about 32, 34 weeks. And I just felt like that was still too early. Again, I was fine. We were still monitoring my body with MRIs and it was still going okay. And so I really had to fight hard for that one.
You're literally battling against the clock here. The longer you wait to get this treatment, the higher the probability is that you die. At the same time, you're trying to calculate how do you increase the probability that your baby survives. How did you deal with that dilemma, knowing that potentially if you waited too long, you were going to lose your life?
The whole pregnancy, looking back on it, I don't know how I just kind of gone through it because I didn't have any sympathy for myself. Like, I think I cried one time. And that's when they were talking about that I would have to have a hysterectomy. And I had to go into survivor mode. Again, I just put all my trust in God. I can't explain the supernatural peace where I knew he was going to sustain me. I had this woman that's been in our lives forever. It sounds crazy, but she had given me a prophetic word, and she said, all shall be well, like trust in the Lord. Everything's going to be fine. I just held on to that. And so I just steered that straight course, like with tunnel vision. When I said no, I was like, I want to carry him full term. Like, I don't want to, don't get me wrong. If he had to be in the NICU, if something happened, it happens. Like, I have nieces and nephews that had to go in the NICU. But I was like, you know what? I still don't have any symptoms. I feel fine. Because obviously they're monitoring the baby as well.
Mm-hmm.
And everything was great. And so I just kind of just took a leap of faith. That's all I could say. And
I mean, she was brave. Yeah, you were so brave.
At the end of the day, like, I was going to do anything I could to protect him.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing was going to stop me from getting this baby.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
So Christos, I mean, honestly, I can kind of imagine what it was like in your shoes. I know for me, and I know like a lot of men who have like tried to support their wives through the process, my number one fear was losing Bliss. Her mother had had complications where they almost lost her mom in
Oh my gosh.
pregnancy or in birth. I was preparing myself going in for losing her. There was, you know, no reason for me to even be there psychologically other than just fear that we didn't have any reason to believe that there would be complications. But how did you prepare yourself?
I think I cried every day. Like, I was devastated because I had just lost my dad not too long ago, right? And he was like the pillar of our family. I loved him so much for what he instilled in us. And I was like, oh my God, my godly beacon of my father is gone. And I'm going to lose my other godly beacon, right? Where we had this godly connection that was so powerful. And I was like, oh my God, what have I done to deserve this? Where I'm going to lose my wife. And it really was beating me down. And within ourselves, like, we were boosting each other up while we're devastated. We're both devastated, crying all the time. She kept me in the word and like in the Bible and just praying and praying. And we had a lot of family and friends praying for us. I think that gave us the fuel, honestly. It's a feeling I hope no man or anyone has to feel that again, because it's hard. It really is. I'll tell you, I'll give you guys goosebumps. I knew, like, okay, we're going to have this baby. I prayed to God because I wanted some peace, you know, with everything. And I was like, give me a baby with blue eyes, because my father had blue eyes.
It's a big thing in the Greek culture, you guys. I not only had to give him a son, I had to make sure he had blue eyes.
I'll tell you, like, because when I look at my son, I think of my father, and it gives me peace. I had no peace, like, for a long time when my father was gone. And that's why I know God is so powerful, right? If we stay in the faith and we keep that going, anything is possible.
He would get so mad at me because I was like, I do believe that words are powerful. And so I refused to say that I had cancer. I was like, every day I profess, I don't have cancer.
Yeah,
I don't have cancer.
It would drive me nuts.
I wouldn't even say the word. And he goes, stop doing that. But I'm like, you don't understand. Words are so powerful. I wouldn't even say the word. I wouldn't, because I think it has a negative connotation, you know? My mom had to remind me, like, Shayna, like, imagine being the other person in it.
Yeah, you feel helpless, I'm sure.
Helpless. Like,
yeah. Because what can you do other than hope and trust doctors, right? To heal your wife and bring a healthy baby into this world. It's not one thing, it's two things, right? Two people. The only thing you do is keep faith, right? That everything is going to go okay.
But when I hear something crazy, so the night before surgery, I'm having like high anxiety. I just did not want to do the surgery. I knew it was going to be invasive. It was the worst recovery. It was worse than having a C-section. Going through it at night, like in fear. And that was the first time I felt Gorgo's kick.
Really?
Like, it was like a sign that like everything was going to be okay.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was the first time I felt him kick, and I was like, oh my God, I knew everything was going to be fine.
Wow.
I have to refrain from always crying every time we talk about this, just because it is probably one of the hardest times of our lives. It really was.
It was rough.
How did your birthing experience go?
I had the easiest birthing experience. I'm kidding. No, so I really wanted a natural birth or a vaginal birth. I did. It was a really big desire of mine, but I had to pick and choose my battles with this one. And so they were like, Shayna, like, we have to do a C-section. And so they ended up having to do a spinal tap and an epidural, which was painful. But
even after the baby, because we waited like for the baby to come out, and I'm like, why is the baby not crying? Because we were about 3.5 weeks early. right? And I'm waiting, and you can't look over the tent. There's like a tent, right? I was like, can I just look over? All her guts will be open, so like I'm not gonna stand up now. I'm gonna stay seated.
I actually ended up hemorrhaging though. I lost a lot of blood.
She lost a lot of blood because they had to keep her open to check the cancer to see.
Oh
They,
my
they
gosh.
took more lymph nodes out.
Yes,
I went in and out of consciousness.
Oh no,
I was
it
like,
was it was.
He
like
saw
intense.
it. I don't really remember.
I just saw a lot of blood. She did end up hemorrhaging from that, because they kept her open for so long.
What was it like seeing him for the first time after going through all of this?
Joy.
Oh.
Like, it was honestly got joy.
I think mine was relief.
Yeah, you did it. Like you.
Mine was like relief, and I was just.
You were beat up. Like it was tough. Like everything she had to go through. It was, gosh.
I think I was.
I don't think I would have survived. I'm not gonna lie. Like women are tough. I've seen it with my own mother. Women, without women, we are nothing. To give you more of a roller coaster.
I ended up having a mini TIA.
She had a mini
TIA
stroke. It's like a TIA stroke.
Well, no. So what happened is after you have a C-section, you could blood clot, right? So they like have things around your legs, and they want to give you these shots once a day that prevent blood clotting. I took one time, and then I stopped doing it, and I ended up having like a blood clot, and so I ended up having
TIA is like a blood clot.
It's like a precursor for a future stroke.
It stops, but then it'll continue. But when it stops, you feel like you're having a stroke.
Oh my gosh.
He was like 2 weeks old.
2 weeks old. 2 weeks old.
And my vision was going in and out, and I just thought I was tired.
But imagine going to the emergency room at like 3 in the morning, 2:33 in the morning with a newborn, and there's all sick people there. COVID is happening, right? I like went upstairs to go breastfeed him, and my hand was like numb, and I thought he was just sitting on my hand weird. So I moved. Your face even. Well, hold on. So I moved positions, and all of a sudden, my whole right side of my body or my left side went completely shot down numb. And I called Christos, and I'm like, I think I'm having a stroke. He's like, you're not having a stroke. I go, I think I'm having a stroke. And all of a sudden I was like talking delirious. I called my mom, and I'm like, Mom, I think I'm having a stroke. And I couldn't talk, and it started going black. And so finally I got the baby. I'm breastfeeding, but I got formula just in case because I didn't know what was going to happen. I started walking out the door. I left him behind. Finally, he was like, oh God, I think maybe we need to go to the hospital. So then we ended up rushing to the hospital. Yeah, we rushed to the hospital, and like right away they took care of her. But thank God
they were like doing the tests in the back. Like they're like, your face is drooping on one side, and so they wanted to keep me overnight for tests. But at that point, the blood clot probably like passed.
It passed through. Yeah,
I think it was just because I didn't take the Lovenox. But yeah, it was just wild.
You guys have a lot of beautiful goodness coming to you.
Thank you.
Your son is going to just bring blessing upon continued blessing in your life, and you guys deserve all of that.
So do you guys. Thank you. I want to hear your birth story sometime.
Yeah, it's wild.
Well, maybe we'll do another episode, together. Yeah. So we got about 5 minutes before our camera dies.
It was so chaotic today.
Oh, no worries. I've really enjoyed this. This has been a really fun.
You guys, I did a podcast with Shayne.
It was a phenomenal.
How proud. No, like Shayne has done a 180. Like we're so proud of him. Like we really are.
It's so inspiring and beautiful.
Inspiring. It is. So I wanted to say that was a good podcast.
I felt really honored that he trusted us to tell his story.
Yeah, it was really special.
I would just like to kind of finish with your recovery process and where you are now.
So after the baby was born, I had to wait 6 weeks to do the surgery because I wasn't in the clear yet. I still had cancer after the baby was born. And so we waited 6 weeks. I go in for surgery. It was unsuccessful. And I just remember freaking out. So I had to wait another 6 weeks after healing. At this point, it was 3 months after he was born. I had to go in for another surgery. And so I'm in the room, and my doctor comes in, and she's like, I'm so sorry that you're here again. And I will have to be honest with you, Shaina, if this doesn't work, like we're going to have to go the other route. And like, we're going to have to do chemotherapy and maybe the hysterectomy. And so that's when I was kind of like, okay, God, if that's what it takes, like at this point he's born, and I just want to be, I'll do anything to be here for him to be around when he's being raised. We go in for another surgery. And so at that point I get a call like 2 weeks later, and she said the surgery was successful. And so I have the video because when they called me, he was sleeping. The baby was sleeping on me. My stepdaughter was in her room sleeping, and I have this news, and I'm just like, I'm one of those people that recorded it. I'm just bawling silently because I'm
my
just
gosh.
so thankful, and like the weight that was like lifted off my shoulders, you know. And so I sent him the news when he woke up, and he comes back in, and we just start crying and sobbing. And so yeah, and so I went back in September because they did the CT scan and they officially found like no cancer in the body.
Oh my god.
And so I'm like, as of like September,
October, I believe.
Yeah, officially, like there's no cancer in the body.
I'm just, that's just beautiful. I'm literally
I know it's a lot
crying over here. No, it's beautiful, and truly, like, you are a pillar of strength and a mother. Like, that's what a mother, just keeping your faith, fighting for your baby. That is the epitome of mother. And I'm just so happy for you. And it just the faith, and sometimes we have these whispers from God, and it's beautiful that you trusted that, and here you are today raising your beautiful boy. And you know, hopefully continue to be free of this. And I guess one final question for me is, how did this change your guys' relationship? Like, how does this change your view on the world having gone through this?
It definitely made us stronger for sure. Made us stronger.
Yes, it definitely brings you closer. I don't know if it was the trauma, right? But like, that's why it's so important to choose the right person to marry, because I couldn't imagine anybody else by my side through this whole experience and journey. And so it made me appreciate him even more. They did a study like with men, and when women get sick, like what happens, you know, but no.
Yes, there's a lot of cheating that happens actually, and infidelity when their wives have cancer.
Yes,
which
it's
is
so
wild
sad.
to even think that someone could live with themselves doing that.
I know. And so it just made me appreciate him even more. And he was really good to me, really good to me. And even if it's just being there, he went through every appointment with me.
Yeah, it was definitely a time. Gosh.
It's like therapy. I feel like I just had a therapy session.
Oh my gosh. And now you have this amazing story you can share with your boy, that he helped save his mama.
He did.
So thank you so much, you guys. It was really an amazing time getting to hear your story. We really appreciate you coming here.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you guys for having us on. It's so sweet. And thanks for being patient with the baby.